Are you concerned about an EMP? Today we're going to review a portable power system that is EMP protected. Hey Provident Preppers, I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Kylene, and today I'm excited because we get to review the Grid Down Bugout, which is EMP protected. And that means a lot if you're concerned about an electromagnetic pulse like we are. Before we get into any of the specs, John, I want to know, what's this going to power?
This can power actually quite a bit. The inverter on it is a 3,000 watt inverter, and it will surge to 6,000. So you're going to be able to do your Vitamix, your washer, your freezer, your fridge, oxygen concentrator,
A CPAP machine?
a CPAP machine.
Can I do my mixer, my bread
Yes,
mixer?
absolutely.
Okay,
because all of those are typically running at less than 1,000 watts. This will go up to 3,000. So
what if I wanted to do like a small window air conditioner?
Sure.
Would it handle it?
Sure, yeah, because most of those run about 500 watts. And our small mini split uses about 500 watts. So yeah, all of these things are easily powerable. You just have to remember and keep in mind that you only have a certain amount of energy to use. It's nice that it'll run 3,000 watts, but if you plug something in here, if you plug 3,000 watts worth of stuff, you're only going to be able to run it for an hour and a half, maybe.
Okay. So we still
You just kind of have to
careful.
balance all that, yes.
All right, so tell me what makes this so great in your engineer mind.
Honestly, the thing that makes it great is the EMP protection. There's a lot of power stations out there, but I like the fact that this one has the built-in EMP protection. This is produced by Grid Down and its partners, Lion Energy and EMP Shield. And so this is a collaborative effort. That's what I like about this. Probably most of all, that, and it's very simple. The cord on the back is just wound into it. There's no separate converter boxes or anything. And the same on this unit that plugs in, the cord's just wound into the back. You just pull it out and pop it in. So it may seem like a small thing, but it just kind of simplified everything, that everything's just built into one unit. And you don't have a lot of extra parts.
So talk to me about why I have two of these.
Okay.
What's the difference?
Now you can just get this main unit. This is the main unit that has the storage. It's got about 1,600 watt hours of storage in this unit itself. So not huge, but the inverter's in here, the batteries are in here, the charge control, all the main stuff is in here. This is just an extra battery. So when you add this battery on, suddenly this goes from 1.6 kilowatt hours to 4.3 kilowatt hours basically. So this just adds a lot more storage, and you can actually add several of these if you want. You can only have one of those plugged in at a time into this, but you could have others in storage if you felt like you needed that extra, these extra units available to plug in here when one of them runs out.
So I can only use one of these at a time with this.
Right.
But if I have multiple of these that I've already got charged, I can swap this out. So I'm just like swapping out a battery.
And typically you're going to stack this right on here. So if you had 2 or 3 of these, you could stack one on here, just pull the cord down, plug it in the back. When that ran low, you can pull that off and put another one on. But these do charge through this unit. So when you're charging it back up, that does get plugged into here, and you'd have to do that. Say we had a short-term power outage, you used a couple of these, you would then put them back on top of here, charge them back up, and then put the other one on and charge it back up.
Okay, so I noticed that you have something orange. Orange is his color.
Yes, it is.
Talk to me about the orange accessory that you added to this.
That's a great question, because what started out as portable power stations, and they still are, I mean, this is still portable, but between the two of these, it's 108 pounds. This is 57 plus, and this is 50 plus pounds. So they become very heavy, and for a lot of people, that's too much. And so that doesn't change their function and how well they work. And I'll just put my little opinion in here. Portable power stations are like gold for the prepper community. This is one of the greatest things that's happened, because you have the ability to run critical loads. And we're talking critical loads here. I mean, you can, if your Vitamix is your critical load, then
sometimes my Vitamix is my critical load.
But these are a wonderful benefit for the prepper community. So I'm just plugging that in there. But back to the cart, the ability to pull this around, and this is what we did with my mom's system, because it's way too heavy for her. But she can roll it over by the window where she can have the solar panels outside, run the cords in to charge it. She can run it into her bedroom to run her oxygen concentrator. She can run it by her sewing machine, which is her critical load.
It is her critical load.
So you can just pull it wherever you need it. Now, I should say this cart, I like it, but this only works well if you're pulling it on a hard floor like tile or vinyl plank or something that's not got any texture to it. When I tried to pull this across carpet, it kind of worked, but it didn't work well because the wheels are small. And so what I would get if you're going to be pulling it over carpet or you're going to be pulling it over some other rough terrain, I'd get something with bigger wheels so that you can roll over those kinds of things. But for pulling this over tile or hard floor, this cart works really well. And we'll put a link in the description. You know, only you can decide what's right for you and your situation.
Now let's talk a little bit about the EMP protection. So these are the EMP shields, right? Why
Yes.
do they have two? Why are there two EMP shields?
This one is your input for your solar. So any DC, which is your solar, that comes in through here. It comes in through this Anderson power connector. And Anderson isn't my favorite, but it does the job. It works well. And if you're going to have solar panels that are not Anderson, because most solar panels are MC4 connectors, then you just get an adapter that adapts that energy from the MC4 into the Anderson power connector. But anyway, back to this. So this is for the DC side. This other one is for the AC side. For your normal household appliances and things that you're going to use are AC energy, and so that's when you would use this system here.
I think one thing we really should point out is the EMP shield works only when it's plugged in. It adds no value if it's not plugged into the devices. It can't protect it, right?
True, yes.
So this is where you would plug stuff in that you're going to use, and
Right.
this plugs into...
This will plug into here, into your AC outputs, and then you can run several things. Now again, you know, you're not going to plug 6 high energy appliances into here, but you can plug some in here, and this is actually 20 amp capable plugs on the front here. So you'd probably use this and plug in some small things. If you have something that is going to take something bigger than a 15 amp plug, then you just plug it in these, and these are 20 amp capable.
So tell me a little bit about this and why this is important.
So the EMP protection is enhanced if you can get that to ground. And so if you're in an outdoor setting and you can plug this in, so this plugs into the DC side here, but you can actually sink this into the ground, and that enhances the EMP protection capability. On the inside, then we're going to use this cord, which looks like a standard wall plug, but these 2 prongs are not active. Only the ground is active. And so what we're doing is taking that energy, plugging this in the wall, and using the home grounding system to also enhance that protection. And that just plugs into this. Either one of the ground rod or this ground cable, just plug into that side.
Okay, now that we understand a little bit about the EMP protection, I think you should geek out for a minute.
Oh yes, I love to geek out. So we're going to talk about the important numbers that you need to think about when you're deciding if a power station's right for you. The first one is how much energy can it hold? And again, we talked about this being about 1.6 kilowatt hours, and each one of these extra batteries is 2.68 kilowatt hours. So the combined of one of these and one of these is 4.3 kilowatt hours. That's one of those numbers. The other one is how much can it put out? Well, we talked about the 3,000 watts. The inverter is a 3,000 watt inverter, which means it can power 3,000 watts worth of stuff. And it will surge to 6,000 because, as you probably recall in other videos, some appliances there's a surge that you have to get past to get it to start. So it'll surge up to the 6,000, which is pretty standard for power stations. They usually surge to double what the output capacity is.
Is that why it can do the fridge? Because the fridge doesn't take that much to run, but then sometimes it
You've got to get over that little hump to get it energized and going. Okay. So yes, exactly.
One of the other things that's important to me is you talk about all those numbers, but not all power stations can be used over and over again you know, they only have so many charge cycles. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
So some of them might not last as long.
Yeah.
So talk to us about how long this would last.
A lot of the older stations are, 500 charge cycles. This one's 3,500. So if you were using this every day, you've got, 9 years or so that you could use this every day, discharging it and charging it back up. Now also, let's talk about the solar input, because that's the other number that we're concerned about. How much energy can I put in by solar? And of course, I like to use these kinds of solar panels. You can use whatever solar panels you like. A lot of them come with the flexible ones, and those are nice if you're putting them in your car. You can fold them up easily. I prefer the solid ones with a rack that you can adjust and that you can anchor down, either anchor down or put like a cinder block on it or sandbags on it, because a lot of those lighter ones, if the wind comes up, it'll just tumble them away. Anyway, you can choose what solar works best for you. Just throwing out some ideas there.
How fast will the solar charge this?
If you had just this, you could charge it in about 2.7 hours using the 600 watts of input. And this will take 600 watts of input. Now, I should say 2.7 hours, that's optimal. If you had perfect sun and your panels were operating in a perfect way, that 600 would do about 2.7 hours. In real life, that rarely happens. I've rarely seen where a solar panel is actually putting out the rated amount or more than the rated amount. So yeah, you're probably not going to be quite that fast. But when you run the numbers, 2.7 hours if you had perfect sun and perfect solar.
Okay, how about if I'm charging this using a wall plug before disaster strikes? How long would it take?
This and this?
Oh, how about, give me all the numbers, John.
Okay.
Give me all the numbers.
So using the wall plug, this is about 2.3 hours to charge this. If you're doing this too, because this is lots more energy storage here, you're going to be at about 6 hours to charge the two of these using a wall plug. And if you're using solar for both of them, it's going to be 7.1 hours. But again, that's just running the straight numbers, assuming everything works perfectly, which it rarely does. So probably more than that.
So what if I had a gas-powered generator and I was charging it using the gas-powered generator? How long would that take?
That would be essentially the same as using your wall plug, because you're just replacing the wall plug with a generator. So yeah, you're still looking at that, 2.3 hours or 6 hours if you were charging both units.
And I think one of the great benefits of being able to do that is that I can have this inside my house and I don't have to worry about carbon monoxide. I don't have to worry about anything like that. Yeah. And they're quiet. They're so quiet. So I think that is a really good benefit.
And one thing we need to mention is with all these power stations, one of the really good benefits is the clean, as opposed to using a generator, an old generator, these put a very clean sine wave, which is easy on your equipment. A lot of modern electronics can't handle the modified sine wave. It just totally messes it up and often ruins it. So, and I should say, if you're using a generator, you want to get a good inverter generator too. So, and then you can combine that with this to provide lots of clean energy, either for this or for other things. Because if you're running that inverter generator, you're also able to run a lot of things. If you've got a 2,000 watt generator, you can run a whole bunch of things while you're charging this. So that's a good piece of information to think about as well.
And yet, as long as you have a backup fuel generator, if you're in big storms and you've got no sun,
yes,
then you're covered, right? Sometimes like my Vitamix, okay, I talk about it being my critical load, but it's not like an oxygen concentrator or other type of medical equipment where that really is a critical load.
Yes, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because we talked about evaluating your critical loads. Well, that's one of the beauties of these is for medical things. I mean, I was thinking about it this morning that, okay, if I had to let my fridge go, I'd let my fridge go. Yeah, we'd lose some food, but if it was comparing that with staying alive, having what I need, the medical equipment, and that's where I think the beauty of these is for medical equipment. Personally, this is the highest demand in my mind. Other things are lesser.
So this is a fantastic unit. Like, we're super pleased with it. I love the EMP protection side of it. One of the other things is that this might qualify for a tax credit if you buy it before the end of the year.
Yeah.
Make sure you talk to your accountant, but in the literature that we were reading, we're like, hey, we can get a tax credit on this. This would be fun. Also, this is Bluetooth compatible. So for us, that doesn't matter a lot because we're old folks and we don't do a lot of that. But for our kids,
They
that
like to
means
be
a
able to
lot.
monitor that, using Bluetooth. So yeah.
And there is an option for a military spec EMP bag for these to go in, if that is something that you would like. So there's that option. But I'm pretty happy with it. Like, John's been testing a lot of stuff. We actually got this maybe 3 months ago.
Yeah, probably about 3 months.
But before John recommends anything, he tests it all the time. He's put it through the ringers, and I think it's a really good unit. Talking about Grid Down, we have the Grid Down readout system. So we are actually, like all these lights that you see on right now, it's all backup. It's all coming from power that we are producing, not from the grid. And so we've been super happy with that.
Yeah, it's been a very, very, very good system.
Yeah, no complaints. If you use the discount code Provident, you'll get 7% off, which is always helpful. So make sure you go look at the link, get that discount code, and use it. If you use the link, it automatically plugs the discount code in for you.
And only you can know if this is right for you. We always encourage people to be financially responsible. We never want people to buy something that's not in their price range. But at the same time, we're balancing that with, okay, if you have critical loads and needs, like the medical, you kind of just have to weigh that out. So I also like this unit. I mean, there are a lot of great units out on the market today. And in my testing, I've really liked this one. It works well. It does come with a 5-year warranty, which is part of what I like about it. And yeah, overall, I think this is a great option for people, aside from the fact of the EMP protection.
Which is important.
Yeah.
Like, important.
But that is an important factor for us. And so, yeah, overall, I've been very, very, very pleased.
And now for our question of the day. How are you going to power your world when the grid goes down? What's your backup plan? Comment below. And thanks for being part of the solution.
Absolutely.